In this video, we're going to talk about some prevention, defense, and retention ideas for when your opponent drops their hip inside your half guard. We're going to give you some concepts and positions to work on, and there's probably a lot more things that you can do, but I just want to at least give you some things to work with, so in that way you have an idea to deal with this and not even get past. This is a strong position for your opponent to have. So we're like this, right? And Chris is inside my half guard. There's different variations on how they can drop their hip. You know, they can just drop their hip, so just get positioned, just drop their hip down. They can just drop their hip down like this, here. He could drop his hip and then put his knee up next to me. So drop your hip, and he's gonna put his knee up like right next to me, here, like this. I'll show you a different angle in a minute. Or he can also drop his hip and put his knee right into my hip bone. So he drops and his knee is like right into my hip bone, and this is a strong position too. I use that a lot when I do like the long hug pass. So if you watch the long hug passing video, you can see what I'm talking about. But they're all related in some way. The first initial thing that I do is when just being in half guard, I assume that the person's gonna drop their hip. The reason why I assume the person's gonna drop their hip is because this is a very strong passing position and many people do it. Two major things that I assume that the person's gonna do when I'm playing half guard, regular half guard. Number one is they're gonna try to drop their hip and work passes from there. Number two, they're gonna try to underhook me and then work passes from there. So we're working with the hip drop. So first thing that I wanna do is I wanna make sure I have good positioning. I wanna have good half guard positioning here. Trying to work my underhooks, trying to stop them from cross facing. So now when he does go to drop his hip on me, here, I can already get pressure on his hip bone. Look at my elbows. My elbows are in like so deep here, which at this point, when he goes to drop his hip down, I can just push his hip away and then work to either recover fully or work to recover my half guard again. So that's like early prevention, where we're here like this, we just have good half guard position. We're not flat on our back like this, because he's gonna be able to drop easy. We're on our side. Here, I might work Z half guard, you know, but that we're working on regular half guard. Most people aren't gonna drop their hip when you have Z half guard. So Z half guard can just prevent it from happening altogether, but it does limit some of the things that you can do. Now you have to do your Z half guard movements. Or when I transition back to half guard, he's closer to me. So now I still have to deal with the possible hip drop. So I'm dealing with the cross faces, I'm dealing with the underhooks, and then now if he goes to drop his hip on me, go to drop your hip, here my elbows can come tight, my hands are on his hips, and then I can push his hips away. So when he keeps coming to come closer to me, it's gonna be harder for him to do it. He's probably just gonna come back up, and then I'm gonna either get my half guard back, or I might even work to open guard or full guard in some capacity. So that's number one. Number one is just have better half guard positioning. A common beginner mistake is they get half guard here and they're just flat on their back. You want to be in like this side position here, working our underhooks. That way when he goes to drop his hip, then he has less of a stronger position. Don't let them cross face you hard and put your shoulders on the mat, because then when they go to drop their hips, then they're gonna have a better situation. Another thing that Chris and I talked about as far as early prevention is also not letting your near side arm get put behind their back. When you let your near side arm get put behind their back, then what happens is they can get more control of you. This is more so like, let's say you couldn't get on your side and then they start flattening you out and they start working to drop their hip. What I wanna do here is, Chris is inside my half guard. What I want to do is, when he goes to drop his hip, I want to get my arm, my near side, my arm that's closest to the camera, that would be closest to him, I wanted to get it in front of his body, not behind. So I want this, I do not want this. So come up more. I do not want this, because now he's taking this arm out of the equation. I can't use this successfully anymore. So if we go back, right, and we're here, and I'm playing, he goes, I feel him starting to drop his hip, I'm gonna shoot my arm in front, like this, which at this point now, I can work both of my arms underneath his legs, start shaking him up, and I can even go to a deep half guard position. So if we rotate here, like this, I'm here, he goes to drop his hip, I shoot my arm in front of his body, ideally both of my arms. Then I put my arm in between his legs, I clamp, and I circle my legs. I can even shake him up so I can get him in deep half guard. If I'm not a deep half guard player, I'll just get out. And then we'll work from there, and then we have to deal with that situation. If for some reason my arm does get behind, it becomes a lot harder to deal with, but we can possibly work with it here. So we're here like this, right? He drops, here the arm comes behind. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab his pants here, and I wanna get elbow pressure on his elbow. So now when he goes to get a deeper underhook, it becomes harder. Then from there, I'm gonna turn my body away, which gives me space to get my arm inside. Now I can get this position here. This was a very good tip that Chris mentioned to me in regards to getting your arm inside. So that's gonna be very helpful. Grabbing the pants, rotating your body away, and then you make some space so you can shoot your arm in between their legs. So we're here like this, showing you another angle. We have this position, he drops, right? He's here, drops his hip down, and now my arm is behind. I can't get it in. I grab his pants here, or let's say we're doing even like no-gi. What I'll do is, let's say I can't grab his pants. I'll still bring my arm down low, and I'll bring my legs over still. And I turn them hard. I can't just go like this and expect to get my arm. I turn them hard. Then I come back. Then I can get my position. Then I could possibly work to get out or work my deep half guard, position. Even if you're not a deep half guard player, it still gets you out from this situation, and you're safer in the deep half guard than you are with this hip drop position. Because when they get that hip drop position, they're in a very good passing situation, and you don't even want to have to deal with that. If you notice, what I did was when I quickly rotated my legs outward, it made him do this. He was here, it made his hips go up a little bit. So by making the hips go up a little bit, it gives me that space to where I can get my arm that was behind him in between his legs, and then I can hug his leg from there. Then the ideal situation is I'm probably gonna wanna get an underhook on his leg so I can maybe come out the back door or work my sweeps from there as well. Or keep my arm really tight because I don't want him to work kimuras on me. But I'm probably gonna wanna move right away too. But the point is, I'm dealing with this hip drop position, so then that way it makes it much harder for him to work the passing. So when we're here like this, other things are, let's say we're here, right? He goes to turn, right? He goes to turn the position, and he has his arm over me. If he gets his arm over me, he's in this position to start working to pass my guard and get a better position. I'm gonna grab his arm here, I'm gonna straighten it. Then from here, I'm gonna grab his leg as well. So it's kind of like I'm pulling my arms out here. I don't want him to use his arm. Then from there, I'm gonna do a back roll. I can possibly use the assistance of my leg as well, but all I'm gonna do is bring my knees up here and then kick. So now I can get leverage to roll him over. Now, the main reason why I'm mentioning that is because we are going for a sweep, but at the same time, we're still dealing with this hip drop position. The hip drop position for him is a passing position. So whatever I can do to deal with it, I'll deal with it. So if my prevention or retention or defense is for me to counter him and get a sweep, then that's awesome as well. The plus about this is that this is easier to do than you think, especially if you can do an effective back roll. By having this positioning, when you shoot your hips up, you actually get a decent amount of leverage. So when his body goes over your chest, it's almost like he's helping you do the back roll. So when I'm here like this, right? He goes and drops, I grab his sleeve, I grab his pants here. Then from there, what I do is I come back, I bring my knees in, and then shoot my legs up as I'm extending my arms. So now I can work the sweep, and then I can get on top. That's gonna help me get the leverage. So the main thing is, in the beginning, don't let them get their hips so close to you, because then you don't even need to deal with this. Even before then, play good half guard positioning. If you're playing good half guard positioning, when I'm like this, now I have the ability to control his hips better. I have the ability to move. I have the ability to lace their legs and do certain things from there as well. Another situation that I want to talk about before we end this video is you can also like do like a belly down situation. This works well when the person decides not to get head control on you. So let's say he does the hip drop position on me, and he brings his arm over my body. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna bring my outside leg over his leg, and I'm gonna kind of like make it like I'm going to like a turtle position here. So I'm doing this, I'm latching his leg. He's probably gonna be trying to grab my leg or whatever with his, so go back, drop back down. Some people might try to grab the leg with their arm. So take your right hand and grab my knee. Yeah, so he's grabbing my leg because he wants to deal with this. But even when he does this here, by going belly down, it's giving me space to work. Where he's probably gonna end up inside my guard. My positioning to take his back is there. I might be able to take his back, especially if I get control of his arm. A lot of scramble situations, he's gonna end up inside my guard. Or if he doesn't even do that, I still do the same thing. He's probably gonna try to square up. So he feels like he's like losing his position. I come here, I step over, I go here, and then if he goes to square up, I pull right into close guard. So if we do that one more time, and he gets the position where he puts his arm over my body, I switch my legs, then from here, I come up, and then he's already giving me the space to go. The big mistake that people make when they try to do this is they don't switch their leg over their leg. That's where, like, if you watch like Marcelo Garcia highlights, he ends up taking a lot of people's backs off of this position because they don't switch their legs. What they do is they just do this here. Let's say we're here, I'm in half guard, Chris drops his hip, they just go like this. And then what Marcelo does is he pulls the knee out and just steps right over. So don't do that. Remember this part. Where we're here like this, when he comes over, remember to switch your leg over here. Because now when he goes to pull his leg out, it's going to be harder for him to pull his leg out. It's going to be hard for him to pull his leg out. I'm not going to sweep him or anything because we're going to be in a scramble. I'm probably just going to sit through, and then we're going to end up in this situation from here. So those are some things to think about when it comes to the hip drop. If you need more details, if you're coming across a particular situation that I didn't talk about, then post below and ask me, and then I can make more videos. The plus about this particular site and this program is I can add videos right underneath other ones, so in that way we have a continuous system. So work on these things. If you have any questions or comments, post below, and I'll do the best I can to help you out. All right.